Welcome, guys. We prepared a Q&A for you. I hope the audience has a lot of nice questions. If someone doesn't know how to say it in English, I will try to translate it. Okay. But otherwise, I hope your Dutch is okay tonight.
Dutch is great. We've been practicing.
You're coming here for years, so it must be great.
Good afternoon, everybody. We just woke up, so I know it's our morning time. Is anybody serving breakfast? Or is it just beer here? And some coffee. Coffee would be nice. So what's up? You guys are good? Cool.
I think we start with the first question. We have a microphone in the front of it, so people can line up and ask their questions.
Don't be shy. Who's the oldest person here?
28, but you know.
You're only 28?
I'm getting 29 in 3 months, so you know. But anyway. Yeah, I had a question. I'm real surprised on the first one, but here we go. Your Majesty guitars, do you enjoy them more than your oldest guitars? The GP 100 used bands?
Well, thanks for starting off with a guitar question.
You're welcome.
I love this guy. That's awesome.
Well, I've been a fan for like 11 years, so I'm still
awesome.
here.
Thank you. Yeah, of course I like them more. Absolutely, yeah.
Right.
The Music Man guitars are. Have you ever played one? Or?
I have. I'm still saving money for one. So
Yeah,
I get it for my birthday. So
Yeah, they're
There's
unbelievable.
a hat. Everybody.
That was easy.
We're gonna fund him. Yeah, they're the most amazing guitars on the planet. They're
I think so too.
unbelievable. They feel great, they look great, and they sound great. And yeah, of course I prefer them. Absolutely.
I like them too.
Jordan likes them too.
But
We have the
I
Jordan
know you
sleeve.
can play them very well, Jordan. So you know.
Jordan shreds.
That's a good teacher.
Yeah,
That must be a must.
Hey, look, that's us on the wall there. Are those drawings? Cool. Did you make? Oh, those are photos. Airbrush. Did you make those? Nice job. That's awesome.
Look at that.
Very cool.
Signed it even.
Yeah, I kind of remember.
Good morning.
We met you, yes.
It's all coming back to
It's
me.
actually a little hard for a good excuse, and it's kind of true. It's a little hard to see with these lights, but it's fine.
Well, nice job again.
Well, thanks for answering.
You're welcome. Happy
I will-
birthday
I will-
whenever it happens. I hope you did.
28 May, so
All right.
I still have a few months to go.
I see a guitar in your future.
Thank you. All right. Well, I will see you at the show, and you know, next.
Question for both of you. You both have sometimes in your songs these very crazy fast melodic lines that you both play. I was wondering, how do you two write them? Do you write them together, or do you say like John writes one and then Jordan says, okay, well, I just gonna double it, or I'm gonna write a harmony above it or below it?
Right. Well, it can work either way. It works both ways. Sometimes John finds like a really cool kind of guitar-esque pattern, and this is Jordan. Put something against this. So I sit with my music paper and I try to write something that is against it. And what's really fun is if you write some amazing, like, cool guitar pattern, a lot of times what I'll do is, well, if I'm doing a harmony, I'll try to do something maybe other than just the typical thing.
Yeah.
But one thing that is especially fun is that if he's writing some kind of a line on the guitar and it's just kind of this moving pattern, I like it. And he feels it, and certain musicians will appreciate this. If he feels it, let's say, in a certain time signature, like he says, okay, these are groups of 5. In my mind, I say, forget that, if that doesn't matter to me. Sorry. I'm gonna put the accents wherever I want and make it into something else. So the end result, it often ends up that it's really, really cool, and it's kind of like I'm tapping my foot one way, and feeling it one way, he's feeling it a different way, and then Mike Mangini comes in, and he you know,
Yes,
in his amazing talent, he knows all the things that are going on, and often with his foot he's playing it John's way, with his hand he's playing it my way, and then he's adding whatever he adds, so it ends up being really, really interesting.
And John Mayer just has to do what you guys say.
Exactly. Follow instructions. That's not nice. He's his own person. He's very talented.
It hardly happens that you both work on one line together. Usually ends up, it happens that one starts the one and the other one just right.
Sometimes that happens, yeah. Sometimes.
Okay.
Yeah, we have kind of a, that usually happens if we have a general idea that we want to do something, you know, let's say we're writing a song and we say, okay, right here we want to do something that's kind of like this, and we'll start to work on it together. The thing that Jordan is talking about is when I come up with something by myself and then show him, or vice versa, he comes up with something. And as a guitar player, it's actually a lot harder to play keyboard lines on the guitar. You play guitar?
Yeah.
So you know that feeling, right?
Yeah.
Fourth.
Yeah. So on the guitar, usually you come up with something that's comfortable. Like
Yeah.
it's kind of like you go for these patterns that make sense with your technique. And with keyboards, I don't know, maybe because there's two hands and it's easier to play larger intervals.
And you don't have any bars.
Yeah, you go to play on a guitar and you're like, how the hell am I gonna?
Like the famous glass prism riff. That I didn't ask you to play, but you said, I'm going to learn that. I want to play.
Well,
You're very brave.
I'm brave, but actually that lays on the guitar pretty well. It's just fast. Sometimes it's hard to play.
Well, thank you.
Oh, thanks for the
Next,
question.
guys?
Good job, good job. Nice job.
This question is for you, John. Sorry, Jordan. I am learning the solo from Another Day, but I can get everything down, even the last part, but the part that completely fucks me over every time is the
Yeah.
so please.
The guy has a good mustache. So what's your question? So the fast line in there, yeah. So
Well, the most common advice is do it slow. But
Yeah.
can you be more specific?
Sure. Actually, I'm going to give you some of Jordan's advice. Because sometimes that line gives me some trouble too, because you're playing a
You know what
phrase.
part?
I do. I know exactly what you're talking about. Because you're playing a phrase before it that's kind of legato, and then you have to do this line that's really fast and ends on a high note, right? So some advice that Jordan has given me is instead of just trying to play the whole line, you kind of play the part before, so you get comfortable with where you're coming from, and then you target the first note of where you're about to be, and then you break that. So that lick you're talking about is 3 groups of 16th note triplets. Don't you guys love this? It's so it's so nerdy. It's so guitar nerdy. So if you play the first 6 notes, and then you land on the 7th note, right? And you keep doing that over and over. So don't play the whole line. Just play 6 and then land on the 7th. And practice the feeling of going and ending on that note. And what will happen is you'll start to lock in, your muscle memory will get used to the motion. And then you'll start to, even though it's going by quickly, you'll start to see, it's almost like, they're like pin drops. You can like see where your hand's supposed to go. So I would try that. Otherwise, you might get frustrated just kind of like.
I am actually.
Yeah, you're like. So try that. That's a good method.
I have 2 things to add to that, which just made me think of. One, and these are things that your music teachers probably never tell you, but I think they're really, really helpful. First of all, that's a Juilliard technique I learned when I was studying as a young person, classical music. But okay, number 1 is when you're doing what John said, do it for a while with your eyes open, but then do it with your eyes closed. So practice, whatever hard riffs or easy riffs with your eyes closed in your instrument as well, and that way when you have your eyes open, it'll be that much easier. The other thing is that you need to remember, if you're, many of you are playing instruments out there, often if we're playing something hard, we forget to breathe. And it's the most important thing, to be able to relax and to be able to learn how to play your instrument when you're relaxed. Like on the hardest things that I play live, I'll literally write as the name of the sound, so I look down, it'll say like, take a time, lead, relax. So you'll see I become very still, and John does too actually when he's playing something really complicated. You'll see that all of a sudden, things are physically more still because you want to be able to relax and focus and breathe and just play it. So.
Well, did you, when you wrote that part in I don't know, 1991, I don't know, did you improvise it or did you craft it in a certain way, or?
It was a long time ago. I probably crafted that. It sounds crafted. There's one other piece of advice to remember. If you mess it up, it will be all over YouTube. Right. So no pressure.
Most useful advice.
No pressure.
Okay.
I have a question for you guys. What is this?
Kopstoot.
It smells like alcohol. That's like,
And if we drink it and we mess up tonight, then who's responsible?
I think it's wine or something like that.
it has like a licorice kind of smell. Liquid breakfast.
Nou, wat gaat het even zeggen dan? Waar is je tas?
Next question, please.
Hello. Hi. I've got a question for John again. I read a lot about the guitar universe. I was actually pretty interested because I'm a guitar player also. And I have to say, not to suck up, but you're absolutely the hero. Well, would you ever consider doing something like that again, and then maybe somewhere in Europe or in other countries?
Okay, so he's referring to, and actually Jordan has done this before. I have never done it. I'm doing a guitar camp in the U.S. in New York in August, and it's the first one I ever did. So what a guitar camp is basically, it's like 4 days of 200 or so guitar players coming in, and then all day long there's instruction and seminars and teaching and concerts at night. And in my guitar camp that I'm hosting, I have Tosin Abasi, I have Tony McAlpine, Andy McKee, Andy James from the UK. Who else? Jason Richardson, Devin Townsend. So there's so many amazing guitar players, and you go there and we hang out and teach and have fun and barbecue and drink wine if you're old enough. It's the first one that I've never done it before. I visited Joe Satriani's camp in the same place last year. I kind of got a feel for it. So I will let you know when it's done. I don't know if that particular company hosts those things in Europe. I know like Steve Vai does his Vai Academy. I think he does it at State New York maybe, or maybe in California, I'm not sure. I've never heard of that company doing them in Europe. That might be a different thing altogether. But you should come.
Yeah.
If you're thinking about it, yeah, you should come.
Well, I can't come all the way to New York. I've never been to the United States.
It's your first time.
Yeah.
It's always the first. Yeah, go for it, man. You only live once.
I have another question if nobody else does. About the guitar solo in Pull Me Under. I actually play in a band and we do some cover songs as well. And we're covering Pull Me Under, and they're letting me do the solo. And
How nice of them.
because nobody else wants it.
I feel like I should have brought a guitar today.
Well, I brought a pick, but
So what's your question?
about the accents that you lay with the wah exactly, and about the final lick. Do you do that legato or alternate picking?
I love this guy. So the wah thing is a live thing because when I was going back to review the songs for this tour, I listened to that and I said, "Hey, I didn't use a wah on the album for that.
No?
I don't think I did. Yeah, so it's kind of a live thing. So the accents are what they're just where the riff. I can't explain it. I have to show it to you.
Okay.
On the album, the ending lick is legato, but live I like to pick it because it sounds more powerful.
Okay.
So you should be able to do both.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to practice.
That should be your
I
goal.
just
Be
want to
able
do it right.
Yeah, be able to do both. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Good luck.
Thank you.
Let's get a question for Jordan. He's getting bored over here.
Well, I have a question. Do you mind me actually filming this? Because I have my own YouTube channel and I have vlogged that, so would you mind?
Let me make a quick call to my lawyer. Hold on.
Same papers.
En hij dan lastig.
I actually have a question for you both. If the rest were to be here, it will be for them as well. But what is your absolute favorite album that you made, or wasn't personally involved in? Seeing the first few albums, you weren't on there, but I mean, you've been with Dream Theater for so long. So I mean, and which song of that album?
Well, it's hard to pick a particular song, but since we're here celebrating images and words, I mean, it's obviously a very special thing in many different ways. For me, it's special because I was introduced to Dream Theater by that album. That's the first thing that I heard. I hadn't heard the one before it. So it's kind of a pleasure to be out, and doing it with the guys and celebrating that with them. It actually wasn't long after that, a couple of years I guess, it wasn't long after that I met John and the guys, and the first songs that I had to learn were Pull Me Under and Take the Time, remember? From when I came and auditioned, and then I had to teach them my song Over the Edge as a little extra that day. But that album was, I just think it's so beautiful and so stylistically, interesting and amazing. So it's great. And as far as the more recent work, I mean, John and I worked so closely. We had such a good time and put so much into working on The Astonishing that's really close to my heart. So I think of like the newer work that we've done, I really feel very kind of attached to that album. As far as a very favorite, I don't know, it's too hard to pick a favorite.
Well, for you as well, of course.
I'm not. Well, if it's okay with you, I'm going to decline that answer because I can't pick. I can't pick. They're all your babies. They're all my babies. They're all special in their own way, and they all signify and symbolize a different period in my life as a person, as a writer. And I feel equally as close to all the songs, and that's my final answer.
Okay. Well.
And there's no going back on that.
There's
No,
going
of
back.
course. But for all those albums, do you also include the album that you both did together, which personally I really enjoy? It's an evening with.
We included.
Yes.
We certainly had a good time doing it. With that album that we did together was a quick whirlwind of creativity. I think we wrote the whole album in about an hour. I'm not kidding. But I didn't feel like we were shortchanging anyone. It's just that we had so many ideas so quick, and it just kind of like came together. It was really pretty unique.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Really enjoyed it.
By the way, that album is a classic example, and we probably don't say this enough, but where we have to thank our wives for being smarter than us. Because Jordan's wife orchestrated and organized the event that we did that album for, which was a charity event for her theater. And my wife said, "Why don't you guys record it?" And which we wouldn't have done if she didn't say that. And we started a record label and released it. So that was all her doing. So thanks to our wives, you have more music. And like I said, they're smarter than us and have all the good ideas.
And hopefully we get some brownie points for your stay.
Hello. I was wondering, between all the lot of touring you did last year for Astonishing, did you already start the writing process for new material? And when you started on that, do you already have a vision of what you want it to be?
Well, it's a little early in the game for us to be thinking about the next album. So we're not quite there yet. We've been, we were touring a lot with The Astonishing. Then we kind of switched gears and had another 3 hours of music, some of which to learn, some of which to refresh in our minds. So as far as like new stuff, I mean, we're always being creative. There's always ideas, but we haven't really set our sights and focus on that yet.
Did you see Rogue One?
I did, yeah.
Did you like it?
I love it.
I thought it was awesome.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorites, actually.
I thought it was better than The Force Awakens, personally.
Me too. Yeah. I thought it was really, really good. Cool. He's wearing a Star Wars shirt, that's why. It wasn't just random.
At first I'm like, why is he asking this question?
All right, thank you. You're welcome.
Hello. Hi. Hello, sir. How are you? I think I'm the smallest guy here, so I just want to ask you a question. Sorry about that. Oh, sorry. Anyway. So, what actually you were thinking about while you made Through Her Eyes? Because actually it's so feeling fun. I almost feel so depressed when I hear it. Sorry.
Sorry. Don't want you to get depressed. Well, Through Her Eyes is part of a concept that is scenes from a memory, and in that particular part of the story, it's the realization that that the main character kind of is seeing through. He finally makes the connection that he's seeing through a past life experience, and he feels it really deeply for the first time. That's probably why it's so emotional.
Well, I just wanted to tell too that you guys are my first pre-show.
That's awesome.
Yes.
Thank you. But don't get depressed. It's a made-up story. It's not real.
No, I'm not depressed.
We want you to be happy.
Hello. I'm drummer, so I have a question about Portnoy.
Next.
What the heck? Is it possible, and are you willing to do a show one time with Portnoy, because you have already done that with Derek and Charlie Dominici? Maybe with the university or something.
Yeah, I mean, there's no plans to do anything like that. But, Mike's great, and he's doing many projects right now.
He's too busy for us.
Yeah,
There's 20 bands. I don't think he has time.
But this tour, celebrating images, we won't be having any past memory. Yes. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Next.
Good luck with the drumming.
Thank you very much.
Hi guys.
Hey.
After listening to all your music and you're going to make new material, how do you make sure that it stays original and not a copy? It seems for someone maybe not in the music almost impossible to do that and not do the same over and over again. How do you fix that?
Well, first of all, let's just come to the realization that there's only 12 notes. Right, at least in the Western scale. So there are some limitations to the amount of notes and style, because we have a certain style that we like to kind of keep putting out there. But that said, neither one of us has a problem with inspiration or coming up with ideas. I mean, personally, I could sit at the piano and probably play all day things that you never heard. I mean, definitely, I could sit there if I had the energy to stay awake. I can just sit there and play all day and play things you've never heard before.
So that would be a good charity event.
Yeah?
Just have a camera on you for 24 hours.
Book of World Records.
Yeah, like a
real life show.
Yeah, like a live stream, and you just have to improvise, never play the same
I
thing.
need a lot more of this coffee.
And then people can send in donations for whatever your charity is.
I'll think about that.
I like that idea.
But still, you want to stay within a certain style.
Yes.
It has to be recognizable.
Yes, right.
But still has to be new, that everybody who listens to the new album or the new song says, okay, this really adds something to your.
Sure, absolutely. Well, that's where the art of composition comes in. Because although maybe I could sit there all day, maybe not all of it is great or that fresh or whatever. But you know, when we're together writing music, you know, we try to come up with things that feel good, sound good, maybe a little bit that are fresh. Sometimes, you know, based on the style, we, you know, tip the hat to, you know, Metallica or Pink Floyd or Gen. It's just part of like what Dream Theater is. So it's finding a balance in all that. You know, another part of it for me is that I like to use, you know, really cutting edge expressive controllers, and a lot of times that, for me, lends itself to coming up with new creative ideas that I can, you know, kind of inject into the Dream Theater world, which is cool. Like when we did, an example being when we did Octavarium, and I had my continuum, and all of a sudden you have this kind of like cool sliding thing. There's a lot of new things we can do. Or in John's, you know, guitar world, there's new toys that he's coming. Oh, let me try this new pedal that I came up with, and it creates a new sound. So there's that type of thing.
I just had one small question about that. When you did Dark Side of the Moon, you had a huge device there. Was it the original equalizer or whatever this keyboard what you used there?
That was a gigantic modular synthesizer made by a company called synthesizers.com, and it was a model of a Moog. It's made after the Moog synthesizer, the original big monster Moog synthesizers. Okay. And I made the mistake of one day walking in early to the venue and watching my crew guys trying to lift this thing up. And I saw that it was just so heavy. And so after that tour, I decided to take it off the road because I thought, you know, they only play like 1 or 2 notes at a time, those big old modular synthesizers. So I thought, I can't do that to my guys. It's not fair. So it's sitting in my living room right next to my Steinway piano. Yeah.
I'm glad that's out of my head. I always thought, was it real or was it unreal by now? Thank you.
This will be the last question I heard from the organization.
Hi guys, this one's for you both. When you started this tour, there was a life left behind and the spirit carries on in the set list, but it mysteriously disappeared. Are you going to put other songs therefore in the set, or are you going to just leave them out?
It was a song left behind.
Well, when we came up with the set, we hadn't played it live yet, and because we added in all of these improvisational moments, the show ended up being a lot longer than we thought, and it's actually too long for the venue. You know, we can't play longer than the curfews allow and stuff, so we had to chop some songs. But you know, I'm sorry, Jordan.
No, and I was going to need a seat pretty soon to sit down. I was getting tired.
I think for the most part, the tour will stay the same. But at some point, like we're coming back, we're going to play in Asia and North America, and we might change it a little bit. Obviously, we're going to keep the Images songs the way, with that. But yeah, that's the reason why in Rome we played those 2 songs, and then everybody was like, oh man, we went like 15 minutes over time.
Well,
yeah, sometimes that can cost a lot of money.
Yeah.
If there's unions and stuff like that, you got to watch the time. So that's all it was.
And we wanted to keep the solo. There's a lot of solo spots in this tour, which is, kind of fun. And
yeah, we have a drum solo, a bass solo, guitar solos. We have Jordan and I do a dual improv, and we thought that for the live experience, that might be better to keep that stuff in.
Yeah, I'm very excited.
Yeah,
for tonight,
so we took out 2 songs.
And I have another one small question. Are there plans for recording this tour, the Images and Words tour, or with songs from The Astonishing? Because you didn't record a DVD for The Astonishing. So I thought maybe you're going to record.
Tears up there.
So I thought, maybe you guys are recording this tour.
We haven't really talked about that too much. It was a little seed of a discussion that we don't know. We don't know the answer to that.
Okay.
It's possible.
The weird thing, and maybe you guys can change this as a whole, but in general, DVDs they don't really sell anymore.
No.
I think, you know, there's so much online, there's YouTube and everything, and DVD sales have just gone so far down the tubes. It's sometimes hard for musicians to justify putting out, you know, things like that, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Not to say that we never will, because it is still a cool thing, I think,
Yeah,
to
absolutely.
capture the tour and yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
we-
but
We
you got,
made Blu-ray.
yeah. But we need more people. You know, the astonishing was the whole thought behind it was about the disappearance of music in our lives, you know, how it becomes less and less important. And what would happen if that all went away and the only music that was made by robots and people didn't care what would happen to the world. So, you know, we kind of see that happening. So the more you go out and purchase music, you know, and be active, proactive music consumers, I think the more you'll see things like that.
Yeah.
The less that happens, the harder it is for artists to put out stuff that's cool like that. That's just the reality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Unfortunately, our time is up. Thank you guys for answering all the questions. One last thing.